Okay, I'm live. And yeah, seriously though, folks, quick question for you all. What do you do? Where do you go? What options do you have left? Right? That's the thing when you live in a democracy. When the majority, when the mob, when the collective have apparently sent a real clear message, a real clear signal that they're not going to respect your sovereignty, your autonomy, your inherent and inalienable rights, freedoms, and liberty. When they've sent that message to you, where do you go? What do you do? What is left, right? And that is the most important question anyone could ask themselves at this particular time. Where do you go? There's nowhere left, right, on the globe. I mean, Antarctica, but brr, right? Brr. Yeah, not going to be no fun in the sun or warm climates in Antarctica. Nor is there much in terms of infrastructure. Where is there left on this planet? Now I get why Elon Musk is on a fast-paced mission to get to Mars. I get that, right? But other than interplanetary escape into another planet, where do we have left on this planet? Where do we go, right? In a household setting, right? If the people that are around you just are too overbearing and the rules and the regulations and all that their edicts to dictate how you live socially or economically, if they become too encumbersome or too too much of a burden, well, you just move, right? It's a simple thing. But when your entire geographical land mass, or when the entire globe is comprised of hundreds of geographical states that all have the same pretense where you must sacrifice the individual for the collective, what does the individual, where can we escape to, right? I don't know. And that's the thing. The minute you recognize that there's no longer a means of escape, right? There's no out, right? There's no, hey, leave me the hell alone. When you can't make that a reality, what is left? What is left? Once again, just me thinking out loud, folks. And this is something, like I say, that we really, really, really need to get into. Because in reality, well, I mean, if you go by the hacks in the media, that's the thing. Of course, people's perspective and opinions are based and mostly aligned with the kind of information that's presented to them or that they absorb in the run of a day, a week, month, or a year, right? But what most people, and that represents the majority, the mob, the collective, most people are getting their news, their information from the establishment media or the current ruling class. And the current ruling class and the established media, their counterparts in the media, are saying, no, you got to do what we say, like it or not, right? Conform or be canceled in some way. So it's like, get in line or get the hell out of Dodge kind of deal. And it's like, I wish, like I say, given that situation or that circumstance, yeah, I'm never going to join the collectivists. So if I had the choice of join the collective or get the hell out of Dodge, I gladly, okay, I'll get out of Dodge, even though it's like, you fuckers shouldn't have any pretense to force me out of my own home, out of my own place. Of course you shouldn't. But, rather than fight, I am the kind of live, let live kind of guy. People, hey, if you want to destroy your freedoms, you want to live in whatever kind of fucking dystopian hell you want to, you do that. Eventually you'll learn how stupid that is. But in the interim, could you just leave me the fuck alone? But once again, I got nowhere. We have nowhere to escape. They've backed us all in a corner, told us that they're not going to give our freedoms. And no matter what we say or do, that's never going to change. What do you do when that message has been hammered home to the point where it's literally beaten like an old dead horse, right? I don't know. But we're definitely going to be covering that topic. This is, like I say, this is other than, or, outside the establishment media or the typical thought leaders. I do things that are completely outside their purview and their scope of anything they ever deal with. You'll never hear this kind of stuff from anyone in the establishment media, and you know this because you have the real world evidence to back up my claim. They won't, but I will, which is why I'm hoping more more people as time goes by that play this left-right paradigm. I'm hoping more and more people will get sick and tired of playing that left-right game and realize that you're both going to lose, and maybe start to pivot towards people like myself or the kind of people that are you've spent a tremendous amount of time trying to explain these things and how important it is to respect each other's sovereignty and individuality. But as it is, nope, the mob, the tribe, the collective are dominating hardcore. And I'm not just talking about down in the US, in Canada as well. The first thing I think I want to get to, let's deal with this. Because, yeah, this is kind of important, right? This is kind of important, I would suggest. Oh, let me share this actually just on my social media pages here. By the way, if you haven't already, definitely follow me over on Minds. I'm definitely seeing a lot more every day, new followers. So I'm definitely seeing there are more and more people who are turning to some of these alternative social media platforms because they're seeing the writing on the wall as well. But it's at this particular time, even vitally more important that more and more people continue to do so. Okay, so let me bring up this first one. And this is like, no one could even suggest that it was earlier on, right? That's the thing. It was just something earlier on when people didn't know what was going on and people were ignorant or ill-informed, right? So making excuses, but no, can't make the excuses for this one. This is actually from 2021. So really, really recent. Not from 9-10 months ago, back when the whole coronavirus, COVID-19, the whole pandemic, however you want to call it or reference it, right? How that all started to unfold. Nope. As you can see, I hope you can see. Let me make the font a little bigger. This is from January 8th, 2021. Jesse Snyder is who reported on this from the National Post. And obviously, if you can see the headline, it says, majority of Canadians in recent poll support stricter COVID-19 lockdowns, hefty fines for rule breakers. The results come as governments in Alberta, Ontario, and Quebec have imposed stringent lockdowns as a way to curb rising COVID-19 cases. Well, first of all, we're already seeing not working out, though, is it? All these mandates, these restrictions and impositions on our rights, freedoms, and liberties hasn't done a goddamn thing, has it? Matter of fact, seems the more restrictions they impose on us, and this is just a reality. Come on, if you're paying attention, even remotely or slightly, you know that it seems like the more restrictions and impositions on our freedoms and our liberties, the more the cases are rising. Once again, not to suggest that either or are perfectly correlated, but I'm just saying the reality is that the lockdowns, right, just aren't working. But the mob, right, and of course you know damn well that mob, that majority, are a representation of people that listen to the establishment hacks in the media, because it is precisely the establishment hacks in the media, in conjunction with the mouthpieces in the ruling class, like the provincial or federal leaders, Trudeau, or any of these fucking premiers. And like I say, whether they're left or right, conservative or liberal in this country, they're all fucking parroting the same narrative. We must destroy freedoms. We must destroy the economy. We must this because, scary COVID, right? Meanwhile, as we've seen, unless you're like elderly with comorbidities or just really frail, you're going to be just fine, right? I mean, that is statistically the real world facts, right? That is the truth of it. The matter is. But once again, the people in Canada, because they pay more attention. Now, obviously, if this poll, right? Think about it. If the kind of people who were sampled in this poll were people that watch my channel, listen to the kind of information I provide, well, you would see that it would say the exact opposite. It would say the majority of Canadians oppose these stringent lockdowns, these mask mandates, and these political edicts, because they see that none of this shit is doing anything, right, to tamp down or quash COVID-19 or its ability to spread throughout the population, right? It hasn't done anything. We're actually seeing more. The more they do, the more it seems to spread. That's just reality. Nothing conspiratorial, not offering up as to any reason why that is, but that's just my real world observation. And I'm sure you must be seeing the exact same thing unless you're looking, unless you're not living in the same world I am, right? But if you are, you're seeing the same thing as me. But like I say, even with all that factual information, even with that real world experience, the majority of Canadians in recent polls support stricter COVID-19 lockdowns and hefty fines for rule breakers. So that's suggesting, now, once again, I don't trust these polls, but for the people who do, what this message, what they're receiving, what the message they're getting from this is most of the people in my peer groups or, my family members, my friends, because that's the thing. It's like Canadian, we're like, we know that, like, if you're it's all people that we, I mean, as a Canadian, you have people that are other Canadians. Of course, we're not all related to each other, but when they say the majority, that means we all must be at least related in some capacity or have someone in some capacity that's our friend or our neighbor or our coworker. So what they're saying is most of the people that we associate with on a regular daily basis hate us for our freedoms and our liberties or are using fear to guide their decisions, right? And they're more than willing to align with authoritarianism, with the suppression of not just our speech, but of our inherent and inalienable freedoms for some false pretense of safety and security. When, once again, it's not going to, you can destroy, I mean, as we're seeing, you can destroy millions and millions of people's lives continually. And that's what we're seeing taking place every day. And it's not preventing COVID-19, not even coming close. But once again, the overarching message here is most of the people around you, if you believe they're fucking polling, don't respect your individuality and your sovereignty, and they want to see you socially or economically enslaved in some way for some false pretense of safety or security. That is the message that I keep seeing and receiving time and time again. Most of my fellow Canadians, right, which think about what that does, not just the human psyche, but what it does to people in any society. Of course, we're now we look at each other as just blatant opponents, enemies, right? People we need to loathe, right? It's just massive strife and division on a scale like I say, I've never seen in my entire life. And who's behind doing this, right? To me, that's the other thing. It's not just the fact that they claim the majority of the mob are willing to openly and blatantly oppress the minority, but it's the fact that these hacks in the media, and these are the very people who, under these impositions, these mandates and lockdowns, aren't suffering at all. Not even the slaves. Matter of fact, a lot of them, and I've said this multiple times in past streams, are benefit tremendously. Anyways, I'm not going to get into reading the articles today, but I am going to just keep rolling them out. Rolling. Because Canadians need to understand, it's not just the politicians, right? It's the people that you think are like I say, your friends. Are they really trustworthy? Are they really your friend? Right? Do they really respect you? I don't know. The established media is saying they don't, and the established media keeps hammering home the message that you shouldn't trust other Canadians. Here's another example of that, right? This is a Global News article. This one was back in September. Majority of Canadians say wearing a mask during coronavirus pandemic is a civic duty. Once again, it's all based on a poll, right? But whether they use polls or actually question all whatever millions of Canadians, and the message that they're constantly, the media, the hacks in the media, the message they keep sending and trying to hammer home time and time again is the mob, the collective, the majority don't respect your sovereignty or your inherent and inalienable rights, freedoms, and liberties. So what does that mean? Once again, if this is the truth, once again, I'll say it again, for the umpteenth time, I don't trust these polls because I know the sampling. I mean, come on, here, let's just go down because they probably have it. They usually have it down here at the bottom, right? Oh, no, this one doesn't have it. Usually they have like a whole disclaimer about the polls and, And it's like, oh, we sampled like 1,000 people or some shit. It's like, are you sure that 1,000 people that you sampled, are you really sure that they truly are representative of the majority of the mob? Because if you're not 100% certain or sure of that, maybe you shouldn't put that forth as a narrative, right? Because that sends a really, really strong message or signal to the rest of the people in society. So, like I say, I know I wouldn't be comfortable if I didn't know something to be true. I would not feel comfortable in any way promoting that as if it was 100% true, or at least true to such the extent that these hacks in the media constantly promote. Are you really sure? And if they are that sure, that's the other thing. Like I say, to me, it doesn't matter which side you fall on that or how you answer that question. I've got further and pressing questions and follow-up questions, regardless of what your answer to that question might be, right? So back again, where do we go when the majority of the mob says, yeah, you should muzzle yourself for the greater good, for the collective? And once again, they're literally suggesting that you're not even part of the collective, because that's the thing when they talk about the collective, right? It's like, well, wait a minute. Aren't I part of the collective? Doesn't my opinion matter? What if I have a whole bunch of other people that's part of the collective and they all agree with me? Aren't we all part of the collective as well? Right? Apparently not, which is why the term collectivism, or pretending that a one size fits all approach actually works, right? Even nationalism, all these sentiments that are based on collective endeavors or full on collectivism. Once again, it sounds good in theory until once again, you've taken even just the slightest amount of time to think about this stuff critically. And then you realize there's no such thing as the collective, because there's no such thing as all of us agreeing on everything simultaneously and never having any disagreements. So the collective is, when they say the greater good, what they're saying is my people, or what I perceive as the greater good, or what they're really saying is I represent the greater good. You don't. So you must submit. You must conform. You must bow to me, because I am the one, or the voice, or the opinion, or the perspective that represents the greater good. So in reality, there is no greater good. That doesn't exist, because the greater good would actually suggest that everyone agrees on everything all the time, which we know doesn't exist. Which, at the very least, like I say, it don't matter whether you come from the left or right or anywhere in between, you know that we don't all agree on everything at the same time. So there is no such thing as a genuine concept that's legitimate in any way, as in terms of the greater good, because we all have different ideas, notions, or preferences as to what the greater good represents. Once again, this is something that I do, and I'm sorry for doing this for you fine folks, but the reason why I do this, once again, for the umpteenth time, is so that you'll share this stuff with the people that really need to hear it. Because sometimes I really do feel bad, because I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, and it's like the choir's like, yeah, we've heard you we've heard you say this stuff a million times, man. But that's the thing. I'm trying my best to hopefully reach others out there. So sorry for my constant repeating of basically the same message, but what else do I have? Freedom is that important, right? I just, it's not about propaganda, but the propagandists, they're not going to stop hammering away at their bullshit. So if you're on the side of freedom, well, you kind of got to be just as relentless in your willingness and your resolve to, stand in defense or defiance of those who are trying to impose themselves on you, right? Anyways, let me pull that one off again. So there's just two examples of the collective, the mob, the majority, saying that no freedom for you, no soup for you, right? Okay, what do you do next? What's your next move? Where do you go? It's a good question, right? Here's another one. Bring this one up. Because like I say, it's not a one-off thing. It's not a one-off thing at all. It's a constant, never-ending hammering home of the same narrative, which is that the majority of Canadians, well, in Canada, but the rest of people in the Western societies as well, don't want to respect your freedoms, right? And that's the thing. Freedoms, and like inherent and inalienable rights, just like I've been trying to promote. I even commented on CBC News Facebook page, and I know what a waste of time that is. Because yeah, of course, all you get in response is, "How dare you defend the individual?" Right? I don't know. It's a tough shit to deal with. But basically, once again, the majority of Canadians support holiday lockdown to fight COVID-19. Who are these fucking people? Right? Fortunately, I've never talked to anyone, any of them. Like, I have none of these people in my own personal life. If I did, I couldn't find myself being friends with someone that says, like, no, Bennett, no, you shouldn't be with your family, right? You shouldn't be with your friends. You shouldn't be with the people that you care about or your aging and elderly grandparents over the holidays. No. You have to sacrifice all that for some concept. If I had a friend that actually said that to me, he's like, okay, you need, first of all, are you fucking serious? You better start explaining things here, or you might as well just walk away, because I can't be friends with someone that don't respect me enough to at least say I'm allowed to live free. Right? If you got a friend or someone close to you that wants to see you basically in proverbial shackles or chains, right, or economically and socially enslaved in some way, then can you really claim them to be your friend? I don't think so. And that's why, yeah, and Elise is like, of course I'm in a minority position, right? When the collective are on the side of authoritarianism. But you know what? One thing I will say, I was a little worried about this years ago. But you know what? If you surround yourself, even if it's only, I'd rather have 5 people in my life, but the best 5 people I've ever met. If I can surround myself with 5 people who are superior in every way, pretty much, then let's say, 100 or even 1,000 people I've known over the course of my life, I'll gladly forego the 995 the 995 or the 95 to show solidarity in line with the 5. Because at least I know that the 5, I can feel comfortable. I could sleep peacefully at night. I actually live a much better life, like in multitudes of ways, knowing that even though I only have 5 friends or 5 people in my immediate life that care about and respect my sovereignty and my freedom, like I say, it allows me to sleep much better at night. I live much more peacefully, knowing that I'm surround myself with good people who mutual respect, man. That goes a long way and pays huge dividends. So I would suggest, and once again, I'm not one of those people who say, well, you got to reject all these people in your life. Listen, why do you think I do what I do? I never want to give up. I don't want to give up on the people that even right now that are saying to me, Bennett, I want to see your rights, freedom, and liberties destroyed. Because if I acknowledge that they're just speaking from a place of ignorance or being woefully or inadequately informed, I'm still not going to throw them under the bus as of yet. I'm going to try my best, right, to reach out to them. But at some point in time, and I've had to do this, I'm sure you have as well. It's like I've tried, and you just don't want to listen to anything reasonable, and you just constantly keep telling me that I want to harm you. Right? If you keep telling me you want to harm me in some way, sorry, we can't be friends, right? Right? Not when that's the only message that you want to send to me. Anyways, once again, and this is going to be the last one. Or wait, no, actually, majority Canadians. This one, okay, there was one more. Sorry, let me bring another one up here. Yeah, here we go. And this one, let me scroll up so I can get the title of it and come back down to where it was. So this one was an Angus Reid, another one of these Poland institutions. And it's so funny. Notice this? Can you see that? I want to make sure you can see this stuff when I share it, right? No, it doesn't. Okay. Oh, that's a bummer. Wonder if I do it another way. Nah, because then it might show other. Anyways, believe it or not, this Angus Reid Institute, well, when you look on here, it's only showing. That's why I like how StreamYard just doesn't show like the actual link up in there and all my other things that I have open. I like how I have the option where I can show what I want to show and not show what I don't want to show. But anyways, if you were to look at the hyperlink for Angus Reid Institute, like when you type it in, it comes up as not secure. AngusReid.org. There's no HTTP. It's not even a secure website. Why would a polling institution such as Angus Reid, right? Why would you have a website that's not even a secure website? Don't you? In 2021, with the amount of hacking and all this shit that's taking place, you don't even want to set up your website to be secure in any way. Holy crap, right? But yeah, seriously, this is the way it's set up. It's not a secure website, folks. And if you hover over it, it says, well, view site information. But yeah, it's literally it's a triangle with the big I in the middle, like information. It's a non-secure website. People don't even know how to secure their website, but yet they want to collect massive amounts and troves of data on people all the time. Like, that seems like something that should be a suable thing, right? Once again, I'm not into the lawsuits because it usually just enriches the legal class, lawyers, the professional liars among us. But once again, most say Trudeau government handling COVID-19 crisis well, but Liberals, CBC remain in virtual tie and vote intention. But anyway, so here we go. The message that these folks want to send you is right here. Views on the federal government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic over time. So go all the way back to March. And this went, apparently, for this particular poll, went up to November 4th to 9th or somewhere around there, right? And we're looking at 49, 58, 64, 70. Well, that's when the media was doing a great job in promoting these mandates and these restriction impositions on our rights, freedom, and liberty. Probably why it peaked there, right? But still, even then, the media's been working hard. But look, 70%, 67, 67. So that basically 2/3 of Canadians are all on board with destroying countless million Canadians' ability to work, to provide products or services in society. Do these entrepreneurs who are losing their businesses hand over fist, right? Hundreds of thousands of businesses are not just being shuttered and shut down, but may never come back ever again, right? These are people who have had their entire life's dreams, right? Everything that they probably spent a tremendous amount of time. I mean, come on, to start a business, big time work. Trust me, I've done it. So I know a lot of work. And to see that all wiped out and destroyed just like that, but think about how detrimental that is. But yeah, this is saying that the majority of the people are like, good for them, because at least I somehow feel safe from coronavirus. But yet, are you really safe? Is it really preventing coronavirus from spreading? Based on the real world and the facts and just reality by itself, no, not at all. Not at all. But the majority, the mob, the collective says, do it anyways, right? Do it anyways. That's the message I keep getting time and time again from the collective, from the mob, from the majority is it's not a matter of whether it's effective. Just do it. Just do it because. Anyways, give me a sec here, folks, because, I want to close a bunch of these up so I don't use too much of my broadband for stupid shit. So let me just share these real quick, and then I'll move on and see what you fine folks are saying in the chat as well. Always interested to hear what you folks are saying. Oh, and there's another. Yeah, I got lots. Today might be a little bit of a longer stream because I got so much to cover. I'm going to try to keep it exciting. I was even contemplating I might stand on my head on my chair. Not really, but I am at this point desperate. What can I do? What can I do to get some attention? I'm not going to do anything stupid. That's a given. But I really would like to have the attention of more than just a couple hundred of you fine folks. And once again, madly respectful and appreciative of you, a couple hundred folks. And no, it's not about me. People always say, "Oh, you're all about." Oh, it's all about you. No, it's just how do I know I'm being effective? People, I don't know how people go on with that shit. It's like, no, it's not about me. For fuck's sakes, if it was all about me, I'd get back into racing where it's just me winning, win, right? Because I literally won fucking way more than I'd have an ego. My head would be swollen this big if that's the most important thing or the goal that I cared about in my life. Anyways, forget about that. Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. Okay, close. Save that. Close. Oh, save that. Close. Okay. Now, just real quick before I move on, I'm going to check and see who's in the chat and say hi to everyone, hopefully. Hey, what's going on? Solomon Jenkins. Chalo. Chalo. Chalo to you as well. I've been thinking about this for years. Where can we go? Do we need to make our own town somewhere? That's the thing. That would be great. But where could we have this town? Where are we allowed? Do we have our... That's the thing. That's how you know the authoritarian collectivists are truly authoritarian collectivists, is because they won't even give us, like, they hate us, they loathe us, they can't stand us. Those of us who are, individualist, independent, critical thinkers, like, well, then can you just leave us the fuck alone? Can you just give us somewhere where we can go where you'll leave us the fuck alone? Because at this point in time, I'd be just happy to have that. Just give me somewhere, right, where I can live out the rest of my life and live free as a free human being. Just, is there anywhere on this planet? Can I please? Right. I know it's a sad state that we even have to beg for that, or we've come to that point, but Starfleet Academy. Right on. It's been a while. Oh, hey, what's going on? Q is dead and replaced our Q is dead and replaces it. I don't know what anyways, it's been a while. Nice to see you, Ben. I haven't been around. Oh, cool. Well, I'm not recognizing, so you've obviously changed up your username there. But yeah, it's good to see that you're back too. Although it'd be much easier to say that if I knew exactly who you were. But yeah, Q is dead, or even if it is like. And once again, I don't like to make fun of people. I mean, come on. Anyone that knows me knows that even my oldest son is a little bit into that stuff. I don't like to make fun of people, right? It's not just because with my son stuff it's constantly. That's one thing I do acknowledge, and I will say I failed in the past, but constantly causing even more harm to people who are already suffering enough harms on their own. Yeah, it doesn't exactly embolden or inspire them to want to, accept you into their circle or listen to anything you got to say. So I try my best to do better, but the whole Q thing, I was never a fan of it, which is why I never jumped on board. But I kind of get in some way why some people, but listen, there is no knight in shining or silver armor, right? You got to save yourself, folks. It's a personal responsibility thing. Stop looking for other people to save you. That responsibility, that's yours. You have to pick up that mantle. You have to carry that torch yourself. And until people start to realize that, like I say, we're in rough times. Okay. Are you done now? Am I back? Okay, I'm back apparently. I used to get pulled, always went against the flow, so they stopped calling me. That's probably why they stopped calling you. Me, for some reason, I never get pulled. I rarely ever get pulled. I've had a couple Facebook things where they ask my opinion on thing on Facebook, like an internal Facebook thing, but like Angus Reid or any of these pull. It's funny. It's like they don't know my number. Apparently, they've never found it. Kind of good that, because I don't want to play their stupid games anyways. But yeah, I never get asked to be included in any of these polls, which is weird, right? You would think, I mean, law of averages, right? You would think eventually at some point in time you would, but nope. Haha, yeah, okay, more rights destroyed because polls of useful idiots say derp. Exactly, Corey. Oh, actually, let me bring this up before I continue on. Or should I? No, I'm going to read a little bit more here. Got a lot to cover. Like I say, people who I thought were friends have turned into media puppets. They're a part of the mob now. I hear you, Debbie. This is like I say, this is the problem. This is the issue. And I think the thing that we all got to think about is what is your immediate reaction to someone that's parroting the Stash Media talking points, right? It's a tough one. It's a tough one. We've all had to deal with that. And how do you challenge or counter them in some way where at least you're going to come across at least somewhat respectful of their opinion as it's formed currently, but at least really trying your best to help them, to lead them so that they'll at least look to alternative sources of information. So at least they'll be willing to question the narrative that's been jammed down their throat. And that's a tough one. That is a tough one. I think the best thing that so far, and I've been kind of hammering away on this today, and I think this is the most important thing, at least as the basis, as the springboard, as the starting point for your conversation with people in your life who are doing this to you, is just a simple thing. Do you believe the humans should have inherent and inalienable freedoms, right? Do you believe in individual rights? Or do you think that people should be, be able to control and manipulate other people just based on whatever edict they choose, right? That's a good question. And then the other aspect of it is to understand even what rights are. Like, rights are inalienable and inherent. So when government's saying that we must tamp down, we must squash, we must restrict your freedoms, your rights, your liberties, because of whatever the excuse they use. Well, once again, if a government, if anyone in any capacity, in any position, or under any pretense of authority, if anyone can take away arbitrarily, or even by way of legislation or political acts or edicts, once again, if they can take away your rights, then they're literally telling you, I mean, come on, at the very least, they're literally telling you that they're not rights. They're suggesting that they don't respect that you have inherent inalienable rights. They're saying that they look at them as if they're privileges granted to you by government. And because government grants these privileges to you, well, of course, if someone is privileged, if you give someone a privilege, we all understand this intrinsically, that you can withdraw a privilege at any time. But what most people, or at least I would hope most people understand, if you're an adult at least, a right, an inherent right, an inalienable right. The whole point of inherent and inalienable is to suggest that it's just inherent means it's just because you're born as a human being. So it's baked into the cake. If you're born as a human being, you have a right to be a free human being. I mean, that's really simple stuff, right? And inalienable means that, like I say, there is no bullshit pretense or excuse or authority. There's no authority on the planet that can somehow overrule or override your rights. Because once again, the minute they suggest they can overrule or override your rights, well, once again, then they're suggesting that they're not actually rights, but privileges. So either Canadians or the mob or the majority are now to the point where they don't look at themselves as having inalienable inherent rights, but now are perceiving of any semblance of freedom that they have ever garnered in life are privileges handed down to them by their political authorities or the masters. And when you live in a world or in any geographical area where the majority, the mob, the collective, believe that the default state is to be, a slave, subject, or serve, and only freedoms you ever garner or gain are those that your master, your rulers, or your overlords give to you in terms of privilege. Like I say, once you have a mob or a population that perceives of rights under that manner, what do you do? I mean, you could try to convince them otherwise, but once again, we're not in a position. I mean, I know I've been trying to convince my fellow Canadians for 10 fucking years now, and I think I've done the most. Once again, I think I've articulated the message so well that I don't know how anyone can deny it. But yet the mob, the majority, according to polls and according to actually even how I perceive the world, the real world that's around me, it seems like the majority of the mob, the collective that represents the Canadian society, they look at me as what? Privileged for having any inalienable or inherent rights. And they feel that they have their right somehow. Apparently they believe in rights in some way because they believe they have the right to take my rights away from me. What do you do? Where do you go? Tough call. Tough question. But yeah, I get what you're saying there, Debbie. And thanks for joining the stream, by the way. Appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, it makes it much easier to hate your fellow Canadian once they've been dehumanized, right? That's so true. And that's a hard thing to deal with. And thanks for mentioning that, Vera Coca. Yeah. Canada, sadly, most are bootlicking rule followers. God, it's a thing. I've never talked to all 38 million people, and I hope that's not the case. But yeah, the way the media presents the narrative is you're absolutely correct. Damn, my TV won't last the morning with the flash model use idiot balls. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, let me scroll down here to the bottom here, folks. Blows my mind in the billion-dollar industries to cure anything, though. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Mr. G Rich? Super sticker. Thank you, my good friend, for the contribution. I really appreciate that. Actually, I've noticed that YouTube, and you check this out. Did you folks see Dan Dix upload is like, are they having an about face moment, or are they just realizing that, once you get rid of people like myself, right? Or people like Dan Dix off these social media platforms, what do you got left, right? One big giant fucking echo chamber of leftist dystopian bullshit. And I'm sure even the leftists, or I'm sure even some of these people in YouTube are like, oh, I can't even deal with these people. Come on back. So they're trying to, I guess they were out there sending a message to Dan Dix, please come back. That's right. And good for Dan Dix. And I hope he does get his channel Press for Truth properly reinstated, where he gets all that amazing content that he provided over all those years back and readily available for other people to consume, right? But I have to believe that these social media platforms at some point in time are going to come around and realize that catering to just an ideological echo chamber, I don't think that functions good as a business model when you're a social media platform. I just don't think that, and I think even some of the insiders are finally starting to see that as well. Hopefully, at least that's. I mean, we can only hope, right? Fox is France after World War II. Fox is France. I'm not sure quite what that means, but anyways, you go back to your Bible and your gun. Based on things that they're are reasonable, right? Hey, what's going on, Mrs. Donna Katz? Puppeted zombies. Bob Gratton. Hey, Bob Gratton or Gratton. Not now that is God, and you ain't part of them. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, I'm not part of them, that's for sure. Hey, what's going on, Michael Bishop? It's much worse than collectivism. The population is being primed and aimed at a subset of the population. We have seen this phenomenon before. It's 30s Germany, 20s Russia, 50s China. Right on. But it is collectivism. It is. I get what you're saying there, but it is collectivism. Anytime someone suggests you must sacrifice the individual for the collective, for the greater good, that is collectivism. But I get what you're saying there. I do. T.gh. I don't know what that means, but right on. Leo Young. Hey, I'm starting to see some new folks in the chat. That's really good. And normally I would say, hey, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and actually I'm going to do it that now because my subscriber count, what it is because my channel has kind of been in this suspended state of animation or hiatus for some reason. I don't know if YouTube put me in the penalty box or if I'm shadow banned or what, but my I'm losing more subscribers on a rolling basis than I'm gaining. So, and if I'm losing more subscribers than I'm gaining, then I'm never going to be placed in the positive aspects of the algorithm. I'm never going to be recommended. None of my videos. So if you could, those of you out there, if you could help me in some way by subscribing to the channel and getting other people to subscribe to the channel, like I say, if more people care about and promote and support what I have to say than the people who are turning and pivoting away, or what YouTube is, removing from my channel, then I can stay in positive territory and my message will get out there to more and more people, right? But absent that, I have to rely on you folks basically entirely to share my stuff. And not entirely. I come on, I share this stuff on but 7 different platforms. I try my best to share my stuff, but without other people's help, I genuinely do mostly, or we generally do mostly end up functioning in mostly echo chambers. Once again, great echo chambers. I love you folks, but we need to reach more and more people, right? It's kind of important that we do so. So help me out as best you can. But the salt is everywhere. Salt. Oh, I wanted to put this here too. Yeah. Okay. So back. Hey, what's going on, Ken Rose? In the old days, the poor man used credit because he had no cash. Today, the poor man used cash because he can't get credit. Yeah. And the rich man used credit rather than cash. Who writes this now? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to deal with this one first. I have lots of stuff to deal with, but I wanted to cover this one first. So let's bring this up. This is out of Canadian Libertarians, and I gotta say, I'm going to try my best to deal with this in a manner that's not just insulting each other. But I have to wonder. Oh, you see that notification down there? I don't know if you've seen that or not. But anyways, I have to wonder. I don't know who took this page over. I used to be, this is one of the pages earlier on. Was I the admin or, anyways, I was part of a lot of these Canadian Libertarian channels until I created my own. Well, there was a couple of them at the time. No, groups, right? They weren't channels, sorry, or pages even. They were groups. Quite small at the time. But I was just, as a libertarian, Canada's like, even though there's only 3 people, it's like, well, at least it's better than none, right? So I was always trying to look out and find other people who care about liberty as much as I do, or are passionate about liberty. And I stumbled across this page years ago. Now, I will admit, like, they've done a great job in terms of, well, the cover photo looks great, awesome, right? Like that. And they've done a pretty decent job, I guess, in growing their channel. They got, 965 members as of today. So that's pretty decent, right? But I just, to me, it's like, libertarian, like libertarianism has a very, very clear description, right? I don't know. That's the thing with people today. Same with liberalism or conservatism. They all have pretty clear description, but it's like everyone wants to just reinvent the wheel or reconstruct all these terms and words that we use to be misrepresentative of what they actually mean, and just mean to whatever they feel they want to mean at any particular time. And I find that weird. But anyways, let me just show you. So this was a post, and this is definitely going to be completely aligned with what we're talking about today, because the mob has said, yeah, no, don't go to church. You're not allowed. Costco's okay. Church, no. Even if you practice all the social distancing and do all these ridiculous mandates that the government's imposing on us, no, you're not allowed to go to church. But like I say, Walmart, go for it. Costco, go right ahead. Anyway, so like I say, this is I shared and I put, friendly reminder: rights are inherent and inalienable. They cannot be arbitrarily taken away or denied for any reason by any government, no matter how well they articulate the excuse for doing so. Which suggests that all governments in Canada, provincial or federal, do not acknowledge our inherent and inalienable rights, and instead act as though freedoms are privileges they grant us and can be taken away whenever they choose to. That's not how freedom works, folks. The ugly truth is freedom no longer exists in Canada. And the 2 reasons are: governments no longer acknowledge our inherent and inalienable rights. Just pure fact, right? The evidence is out there, and I've got it all backed up, right? So can't deny it. And 2, and this is probably the most important part, maybe I should have put this as number 1, is most Canadians lack the willingness and resolve to defend them, because that's a thing, folks. Freedom, liberty, it is a construct. It is something that we invented, right? It doesn't exist in the real world where you can just go pick it up like a baseball bat or something. Like, it's an idea. It's a concept. And ideas and concepts, they only exist in our minds. That's it. It doesn't exist in the tangible physical world. It's a concept in our mind. And what I see time and time again is the majority of my peers in our country, in my province, in my locality, in my county, in my jurisdiction, in my country, is they no longer understand respect or even acknowledge what individual freedom and liberty even means. And when you live in a society where the mob, where the majority, and that's the thing, we live in a democracy. So once again, when you live in a democracy where the mob rules and the mob, the collective, no longer is wise enough, prudent enough, or intelligent enough to understand what inalienable and inherent rights and freedoms are, and they're willing to forgo that knowledge, never pursue it, and align with big government as a means to deny or suppress them, once again, where do you go? What do you do? It's that $64,000 question that I'm going to keep asking time and time again till hopefully I get an actual answer. Although I would love that answer to come from some of these central planning fucksticks. Fuck, I would love to have a conversation with somebody. Could somebody out there try their best, right? Get some hack in the media or some idiot in some politician in this country. Would you please get them to come on here and promote collectivism and show that they think they know what they're talking about and challenge me? Oh, I would love to see that. I would love to participate in that. Because I firmly believe that's the only way Canadians will fucking finally come around to realize that people like myself are much more wise and prudent than some of these other people that they look up to and revere, is once again, just for them to see the spectacle of me completely dominating these people that they look up to, respect, and revere. That's only with time, like I say, when they're constantly, right? If you can create a narrative where, look, I'm the best of the best, but because you can eliminate competition, that's an easy narrative to sell if you can eliminate competition, which is what the hacks in the media and the ruling class does. I mean, government, right? Government doesn't like competition, right? It's a one size fits all. But once again, if I could even be given the slightest opportunity to challenge them, once again, it would completely destroy their narrative entirely, which is why they'll never give someone like me the time of the day. Matter of fact, they don't even look to insult me, because I think people like myself, especially the hacks in Canada, because we're a big country, but with a fairly small population, I think the reason why they mostly ignore me rather than try to insult me or deride me is they don't want Canadians to even learn who the hell I am. Because once Canadians, because that's the thing, you know, that old adage, even the celebs in Hollywood would suggest this, is there's no such thing as bad publicity. Is, yeah, I think I think they all recognize that if a majority of Canadians get to actually see and hear what I had to say, well, they'd think about things a whole lot differently than they currently do, which is why people like myself aren't taken out outright. I'm not canceled. I'm just ignored. Ignoring works much better for them, because if they cancel me, right, that might create some summons where there's going to be more information or attention focused on me, right? So they won't cancel me. I'm not even worried about being canceled until, like I say, if I see my channel start to grow to the point where I actually have real influence, then I'll be canceled. But in the meantime, no, they're just going to, what they're willing to do, and they realize that this works best for them, is just completely ignore me and hope that everyone else will as well. I mean, it's up to you folks to try to counter that, right? That's the thing. When my opponents are trying to suppress and deny my voice, well, it's either me or the people that support me to help counter that. And if you're, nothing against you folks, and even me, I'm saying, I'll blame myself even. Between me and you, all you folks, we're getting our asses handed to us. We're getting our asses whooped on a daily basis. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it, which is why every day I constantly, I know myself, I can't speak for the rest of you, but every day I'm looking for all new avenues, venues, bullhorn, anywhere I can get my voice out there. I'm constantly out there. Are you doing the same thing? Are you putting in as much work? Do you have as much resolve? Right? Is freedom as important to you as it is to me? I don't know. Because I don't know each and every one of you people individually, but I know that I'm trying my best, and I don't know what else I can do. Although if you have any suggestions, I'll definitely pay attention to them and place them in the comments. Not necessarily in the chat. I don't go back and look at the chat, because that would mean I have to watch my whole stream all over again. But I definitely pay attention to the comments that you do, like after the YouTube video is uploaded, the comment section underneath. Put that down there if you have any suggestions, because I'm looking for whatever anyone's got to have on offer. If it makes sense to me, once again, I'm not an ideologue. I'm not dogmatist. I don't even care which side of the political aisle you come from. I'll listen to something. If it makes sense to me, I'll pay attention to it. But anyway, so like I say, Now, here's the thing. Now, this Joey McCulley guy, if you look at it, it's weird because I'm the administrator of my own Canadian Libertarian YouTube channel and or Facebook page, which not trying to brag or anything, but I'm just one individual. I'm what's considered a public figure, Canadian Libertarian, on my Facebook page. And I actually have, 1.5 times more likes on my just individual public figure page than what Canadian Libertarians has. And they're like, it's not just focused on one person, right? So I will say, I think the majority of Canadians that are libertarians have much more respect for my page and what I have to offer than what's happening here. We've both been around for basically the same amount of time frame, or close to at least. So it seems like more people pay attention to what I've got to say than what's even being said on this. But once again, I'm still looking to hear what these people have to say. But I always find this weird. And I don't know why you have to put some kind of badge on there. Admin, Joey and Amanda manage the membership moderation settings and posts for Canadian Libertarians. Only group members can see this badge. Like, I never said any of that stuff for myself. Never said any of that stuff up for myself on any of my social media pages. Now there are places where I like, people have given me like, I'm a top fan because I'll spend more time on their platforms and stuff. And you get that, right? They give that to you. So not like I say, can I have that? Whatever. But it's weird that someone would make that place an emphasis on making that, put that little, like, what is that? Oh, that gives this guy a little bit more credibility, right? It's so weird how people work. But anyways, so Joey McCulley, rights are inherent and inalienable. Says who? Which rights? And I got to tell you, folks, and once again, I don't know these fucking people from a hole in the ground. And this is just the truth. I've never had 100% honesty with you, unless someone can point out that maybe something I've forgotten to overlook. If I have, sorry, and I do apologize, because I've talked to a lot of people over the last 10 years. I don't remember ever talking, or even, I don't think I know who this Joey McCulley, or what was the other one called again? Amanda. Oh, by the way, 4 mutual friends, including Josh Laughlin and Tim Moen. So pay attention to this stuff there, Tim, if you get a chance to watch the stream. I don't know if you know this guy, but anyways, he was born in 1983. Pretty minimal in terms of mutual friends for a libertarian, right? Only 4? And maybe he's only friends with Tim Moen to fucking troll you like he seems to want to troll me, apparently. But anyways, or not troll because I'm on his page. I'm on his page, so I get it. I mean, if they want to even completely remove my post from the page, go ahead and do so. But I think the reason why they don't do so is because most of the people that freaking the page are libertarians, and they, if a libertarian's canceling on a libertarian, probably not a good idea. Probably doesn't send a good message. But anyways, but it's like, says who, which rights? What the fuck what's up with a libertarian that's the administrator of a libertarian page saying that, what? Says who? Who? What rights? Which rights? That's weird, huh? I mean, as a libertarian, especially if I'm an administrator, I mean, I am the administrator of my own page. Well, I am the Canadian Libertarian, right? So it's like, but I understand this stuff. And if you're an administrator of a libertarian page in Canada, you probably should know, at bare minimum, right? Liberty 101, you really should know what inherent and inalienable rights are. And if you don't, you got to expect that I'm just kind of curious as to why you call yourself a libertarian. A libertarian should know what the philosophy of liberty entails, right? And if you don't, I'm a little bit suspicious. But anyways, let's see some of the follow-up comments, because I haven't replied as of yet. I will later on. Trust me. Although, like I said, I like to do my talking with my voice rather than in type form. Not a big fan. I was never a receptionist, and I never played one on TV. And I've never been a computer programmer. Never played one of those on TV. I talk with my voice. I'm a human being. I was born with a voice, right? Vocal cords, a tongue, and all that. So I use them. Sorry. In nature, rights are only. I can't believe Calvin. Good for you, Calvin, for taking the time to do that. But why would you waste your fucking time, Calvin? I don't know. I don't know that. Mad respect you for at least trying. In nature, rights are only determined by one's ability to uphold them. They're negative rights, right? Any right that suggests that you get to force people to do things, that's not a right. Right. Anyways, I think it's more about conscience and morality, meaning that you can uphold those rights with clear conscience and good morality, or without sinning, as the religious might say. I don't know if that was a great explanation. Not really. I don't think at all. All I have to do is say, God says it's okay, and I can act recklessly in good conscience. Okay, so either this guy's trying to play the Socratic method as a fucking left-hard, right? That's what seems like it. Once again, I'm just speculating. I don't know this guy from Hole in the Ground. Or he genuinely just doesn't understand what a libertarian is. And why are you the administrator of a libertarian page if you generally don't grasp what inalienable inherent rights are? I think, once again, I'm just speculation, but I have my suspicions, folks. And you know what? Just like when you're building, intuition, suspicion, I get it. And there's no way where I can say, but you know yourself, sometimes this shit is legit, right? Most of the time, I prefer is like, can you at least give me some? But I got to tell you, my spidey senses, and once again, I could be completely wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Suggests that I wonder if some of these people are like CBC loyalists or those types, right? They just want to play this game of they don't know whether to hate on libertarians, learn more about us, or to ride us in some way, which is why they seem to be sitting on the fence all the time. I don't know. But the vibe that I keep getting from this administrator on this particular page is, like I say, my spidey senses keep tingling. Can I give you? No, I can't give you anything. It's like, I don't know. So once again, I leave that. You're an adult. You make the determination who you want to trust. I don't know. And I hate even doing this stuff because, once again, it's a libertarian page. Do I not have better things to do than to hate on libertarians, right? Of course I fucking do. But I always get highly disturbed over stuff like this. I just don't know what to think. I don't know how to perceive when people say these crazy fucking things. I don't know. Anyways, I wouldn't want to be an administrator of a Canadian Libertarian page if I didn't have a real firm grasp or understanding on what it is to be free. I would feel weird in that position, right? But not this guy. Nope, I said you can uphold those rights with clear consciousness and good morality. The second part was a religious interpretation of that, not the other way around, meaning with yourself. And that's the thing, Calvin. And you know what? I get what you're doing there, buddy, but you're kind of like me. Like we always work so hard. Like we're like, I gotta put in all this effort to counter these fucking dipshit, these pigeons that just want to shit on my chessboard. And after you've done all that hard work, put in all that effort in articulating your thoughts and using objective standards and morality and ethics and all that stuff in principled positions. The response you're going to get is just another shit on your chessboard. So it's like, damn, you wasted a lot of time and effort putting in all that work to try to explain yourself and articulate in such a manner where they're just going to say, oh, well, I don't care. Right? Fuck. That's a hard thing. I know I've had to deal with that multiple times already. Why can you uphold them in good conscience? Which rights? What do you mean by uphold them? That's a great question. It both questions what is good and what is conscious. One can speculate. I think it has to do with empathy towards others. I mean, if you can empathize with another in the situation, it applies to you as well. Oh, God, Calvin. Is defined public health advice during a pandemic, which has claimed millions of lives in under a year because you had a dream about God telling you to not. See? I mean, come on. I mean, is this someone that's being fucking... I'm going to get in on this, folks. I'm going to get on this a little later on. So let me just see. So Vlad Turda, that's a very insincere, immature, and insubstantial rebuttal. It is grossly offensive to frame a thoughtful response you likely didn't deserve. Oh, so true. Exactly. I was just basically saying the same thing, right? You put all that work and effort in to give a good, well articulated response, Calvin, and good for you for doing so. But as you can see, it was a complete and utter fucking waste of time because Joey here is just going to fucking shit on your fucking chessboard regardless, right? And even Vlad here, Turda acknowledges that, right? As violating of other rights because God, and to base it all on the premise of a pandemic which has claimed millions of lives, when in reality, those statistics are openly contested, and you either have to be silly or malicious or naive to dismiss the healthy skepticism that is appropriately held by people who can think critically, right? Exactly. Let me give that a good old thumbs up. Actually, you know what? Since I'm on here, since I'm here, right? Fuck you, Joey. You get none of my shit, loser. Matter of fact, I'd like to call Joey out. Come out of the darkness, man. Come out of the fucking shadows. Come on to my channel someday, Canadian libertarians. Come talk to another Canadian libertarian and let's find out just how libertarian you truly are, because I'd love to challenge you, Joey. I wonder if I know he wouldn't have the fucking courage. He would never have the courage. I'm calling you out here, by the way. I'm calling you out, man. This is a man. This is a guy to another guy, and I'm calling your ass out. Are you willing to accept? I'll do it. I'll put it in here after, actually. Like I said, I got no fucking trust, no faith in any of these dipshits. They probably will just ignore me. But yeah, good for you for everything you're doing up there, Calvin. Although in some way, like I say, I don't know. Did you read the OP article? The priest literally said that he's fighting the public health measure because so what? Why people fight for the freedom? That's the thing this little piece of shit loser, Joey McCauley, fucking doesn't understand. What the reason that people use or the excuse why they want to have freedom? I don't fucking care. I don't care if the reason why they want to be free human beings is because a unicorn told them that it's important that they're free. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. Neither should you care about any of that shit, Joey loser McCauley. The only thing that should matter to you as a libertarian is that you respect their freedoms and the fact that they're not trying to impose or force themselves on other people, right? But you're more than willing to side the people who are trying to force or impose themselves on people. And you're the administrator of Canadian libertarians. Who placed you in that position? And by all means, you know what? You do that. But once again, the fact that my fucking page, it's a public figure page, right? It's my page alone, and I have, like I say, 1.5 times more people that pay attention to my content or who are followers or like my fucking page more than you. That alone should speak volumes. But once again, these people, they don't fucking care. They're ideologues. They're ideologues. And they're going to keep hammering away at their narrative. I wouldn't even fucking be the slightest bit surprised to find out this person, what you got a bunch of insider government hacks in your family? What are you, the son of a CBC reporter? No, but I don't know. Once again, totally baseless accusations there. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But this is someone that, how could I could never. Now, I'll still continue to post stuff to Canadian libertarians, even knowing that this piece of shit, and he has done so in the past, right, suppress my content. But at the very least, I'm going to do it. Why? For the 900 and some people who are on his page, so I can at least show. Here's the difference. Here's someone that's principled in their stance, and here's someone that likes to play politics and doesn't have any principles at all to guide their decisions, their opinions, or their perspectives, right? Anyways, yeah, let me pull that off here because I found that to be massively disturbing. Who are these people that claim to be libertarians? To claim to be libertarian. He's following you, Tim, And I think it even showed that he's friends with you. So it's someone that, and I've done it too, right? We accept friend requests from people that, if there's anything libertarian in their profiles, we do that. I get it, but we got to pay more and more attention to the kind of people that are playing these games, because a lot of them are, I think, they're using deceptive practices and or pretend to be libertarians so that they can be little insiders. And hey, what's going on, Ron the Big Man? Hey, thank you very much there, Ron the Big Man. Appreciate that. Thanks for all your hard work. A thankless job, but important. Well, thank you, Ron. I really appreciate your kind, generous support. And like I say, I'm going to keep doing it. And it's because of people like you who continue to support me is why I continue to do this. And hold on, I'm just looking here. Looks like, did I get another one? Yeah, if you don't, well, freedoms don't exist if you're not willing to defend them. That's the most simplest thing I can say about that, right? Is, yeah, they're non-existent. Freedom's a construct. They reside in our mind if we're not willing to make them part of the reality of the real world that we actually live in, right? If we're not willing to defend them, that they don't actually exist. It's just a construct. It's just a fictional narrative that some people say belongs in a book somewhere, right? But no, freedom really should matter much more than that. Anyways, I got my laptop up here open as well, because I have so much to cover. So let me just, I got to get through a tremendous amount of stuff here, folks. So, oh, let me bring this up, because this is something I was like, what? What are you talking about? They're targeting everyone these days. Right? They're targeting everyone these days. Get in line, comply, conform, obey, or else. And look at this. In New Brunswick. In New Brunswick. What? Say what? Far-right groups on the rise in NB and across Atlantic Canada, researchers say. This is a global phenomenon where world leaders have legitimized these types of views. It's a global phenomenon, but in little old New Brunswick, apparently it's like outsized, apparently, which I gotta say, folks, not that I'm a fan of far right, but what it is when I recognize that the establishment media, everyone that they label as far right these days, to me, the message I get is I just cross out far right, and I instead replace it with anyone that's challenging the status quo or the rule of the establishment, because that's basically the people in the establishment and the media hacks who represent the establishment. These are the people that they keep labeling as far right, is predominantly just people who are challenging the status quo. Now, there are some people who are genuinely far right, but there's such a tiny sliver. They're no fucking threat to anyone. You know that. We all know that. So when they use these terms like far right groups on the rise in NB and across, what it tells me is people who are starting to think critically and care about their freedoms are on the rise of NB and across Atlantic Canada. And in that scenario, yay, Atlantic Canada. Woo, baby. You go, boys and girls, men and women, right? Yeah, that's what I want to see more and more. I want to see more and more of my fellow NBers. Yes. Matter of fact, at this point in time, it should be a badge of honor for the media to be labeling you as far right, because that says that what it does to you now, that's a message. That's a big signal that sends out to the rest of us, like, this person's challenging the status quo. This person isn't a conformist. They're not just going along to get along. It's like, yeah, baby. Now, I'm sure we might find some other areas of disagreement subsequent to that point, but at the very least, I'm on board with your willingness to at least stand in defiance of the status quo and the religious establishment. In that regards, once again, bravo. Applause. Matter of fact, I wish I had a whole goddamn NHL team in the background and their adoring fans. I wish I had the Leafs fans to put on an applause for that, because yeah, it's a good thing. Not for far right, but for people who are finally standing in defiance of top-down authoritarianism. This is a global. Oh yeah. So this was on January 10th, 2021, folks. Wait a minute. Am I part of a group? Canadian Libertarian. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Am I being placed in this category? Let's read on, see who they're talking about. Who are these far-right groups in New Brunswick that they're referring to? It was a shocking development, even for a world that has grown accustomed to shocking developments in Donald Trump's America. Mobs stormed the Capitol in Washington, D.C. to protest the results of the presidential election. As Americans grapple with emboldened far-right groups and incidents like Wednesday's melee, new research suggests there's been a surge in extremism here in Atlantic Canada recently. Really? Damn, I live here. It's like I'm not even hearing about it. I'm glad CBC's telling me about it though, because maybe I'll learn something. Because where are these people? Inquiring minds want to know. David Hoffman, an associate professor of sociology at the University of New Brunswick, a statist, says the growth of far-right groups here has been nothing short of explosive, right? In the past 5 years, Hoffman said the number of active extremist groups in Atlantic Canada has surged from about 8 groups with 4 or 5 very active members. 8 groups with 4 or 5 very active members. Woo. Oh, look out for these peeps, right? 4 or 5 people, in a part of the country with, what I would say, at least in Atlantic Canada, there's got to be a couple million of us over all the provinces. But, 4 or 5 people, they represent a really existential threat and danger. I'm sorry, folks, but this shit's fucking almost, it's laughable. Maybe I should, I should give up on this shit. I should have went into comedy, because I tell you, it's comedy gold. Comedy is like literally every other day. If you're a comedian, like, come on, Joe Rogan, all you fuck sticks, get out there, stop being a bunch of cowards, because comedy, you fuckers are given gold every day, and it's literally landing in your lap, and all you have to do is just repeat this stuff, and you're going to get massive applause. But what the hell is going on? Anyways. Jesus. Fuck. 4 or 5 people. To about 30 groups with about 150 active members. 150 active members in 2020. Oh, man. Look out. Major threat. And what are they doing? Bombs, explosives, IEDs, right? What are they doing? They must be doing some terrible, terrible things to have this kind of focus from the establishment media, this kind of focus on them. What are they doing? It's got to be right here, right? Must be some pretty nasty stuff these folks are doing to be covering in a publication such as the CBC and focusing such an emphasis on these people. What are they up to? What are they doing? Let's find out. That's a conservative estimate, he said. These are just the individuals we were able to find. There are probably many more who are not as vocal or as active online. Ooh. Who are these people? Let's fuel the trend. How concerned should we be? In interviews Friday with Information Morning Fredericton and Information Morning St. John, Hoffman shared some of his findings. I'm definitely going to check this stuff out. I'll be definitely keeping this one open for later and learn what these two goddamn pieces of shit, CBC, the Information Morning Fredericton, because I can get both of them. But anyways, y'all, I'll be listening to what these dipshits have to say. What does the term far right mean? Oh, this is a good one. Interesting. Let's find out what the answer is to that particular question. Hoffman says by explaining what it doesn't mean. Wait a minute. What does the term far right mean? Hoffman starts by explaining what it doesn't mean. Okay, good. Far right does not mean people who have conservative values, who have completely law-abiding views. We're allowed and encouraged to have divergent political views in Canada, he said. We're allowed. We're allowed. First of all, the minute somebody says something, when they're talking about their, once again, inherent and inalienable rights and freedoms, right? The minute they say the word "we're allowed," that's a status talking. That's a status talking, man. That's a status. I don't care what they say. That's a status. That's all you need to know at that particular point in time. I'm not saying they're like not going to attribute anything other than the fact that they're a believer in the cult of statism, in the religion of statism. So just know that that's the mindset they have, right? Allowed. And then even, you're even encouraged. Oh, how nice of these people. Instead, he said, it's the fringe of the fringe of the fringe people who take conservative ideologies to the extreme and gravitate towards acts of violence of the sort that unfolded in Washington this week. Okay, you're talking about Washington. You're talking about fucking Washington. We're talking about New Brunswick here, right? What the fuck are you talking about? The fringe of the fringe of the fringe. Okay, let's read on, because surely he must have been an example here of New Brunswickers that represent this fringe of the fringe of the fringe, right? It's a distinction that's very, very important, Hoffman said. Like any political or fringe movement, the objectives of far-right groups vary. It can be, as was the case in the U.S., Capitol this week, trying to bring about political change. In their case, stopping what they incorrectly see as a stolen election, Hoffman said. That's your fucking opinion, asshole. That's your fucking opinion. You don't know shit from a hole in the ground, apparently, because other people. Anyways, in Atlantic Canada, the groups tend to be focused on preserving an idealized national identity. Here, it's about preserving what these groups feel is their racial heritage, what they define as being a true Canadian, he said. Okay, we're going to get to the example of all these far-right people. Their hateful ideology or all the harm and violence they've been using in Canada. It's going to be here in the article. Just wait, we'll find it. I mean, for someone to put on this kind of rhetoric, they come, like I say, they have to have lots of examples of this kind of far-right extremism and violence, to offer as evidence, right? Why the recent sudden growth in extremism? According to Hoffman, 2016 was a watershed moment, an absolutely pivotal moment for extremism across the globe. That happens to be the year Trump was elected president of the United States. That was a key factor, Hoffman said, but not the only one. Trump's normalization and encouragement of far-right actors was part of it, but we also see in South America, President Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil, members of far-right groups and neo-Nazi groups getting seats in parliament in Europe and Greece, he said. First of all, Nazi, National Socialists, they're lefties. Authoritarian collectivism, it's a lefty thing. So stop with your fucking bullshit with Nazism. Hitler was not a right-winger, okay? You fuck sticks. He was a collectivist. And lefties are the only ones. Lefties, right? The collective. Right-wingers, individual. Holy fuck. How simple does it get? Right? The left, although that's the thing. When you talk about politics, but that's the thing. Conservatism is not about, or it never, as far as I understand, well, that's the thing. Fuck conservatism and fuck liberalism. Libertarianism, right? It's all about the individual. Or what used to be considered classical liberalism was all about the individualism. So the minute you step outside the scope or the bounds of promoting the sovereignty of the individual and respecting as such, and now place the emphasis on the collective, that's a left-wing thing. It's always been hey, like I say, just look at the kind of people that who promote sacrificing the individual for the collective, and then ask them what they align with or which side of the political spectrum they align with politically, right? Ask them. There's your answer. Don't fucking have to listen to the rhetoric I got to say. Just ask these people who are trying to deny individual sovereignty, rights, freedom, and liberty, and ask them which side they align politically. And you'll find it time and time again. Left, 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 left. Left, 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 left. Or what they call today's liberal. But once again, they're not liberal. They might try to play that game. They might try to use that terminology, try to use that word. But once again, that is not representation of reality, which is why people need to start picking up fucking dictionaries and learning what these words and terms actually fucking mean. That's the power of understanding the language, is then these people can't play these stupid games with you. This is a global phenomenon. Where world leaders have legitimized these types of views. The climate for sharing these ideas have become more acceptable, which has caused these individuals to come out of the woodwork. What attracts people to extremist groups? Oh, folks, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? These people. What are we going to do with these people? I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Anyways. Okay. let's get back to business here. What attracts people to extremist groups? What is it about extremist groups that attracts people to them? That, Hoffman said, is the $1 million question. No, it's 64,000, man. In essence, he said, it's a complex social process involving group activity, involving a desire to right what they see as wrongs, involving personal grievances. For some, that could be the belief that an election was stolen. For others, it could be a misdirected anger over lost jobs or resentment of increased immigration. If I was to summarize it quickly, I'd say it gives people who are disenfranchised a sense of belonging. It gives certain people who are looking for meaning an ability to engage in something that is greater than themselves while airing their grievances. Where do these groups come from? Most groups that have set up here are chapters of national or international groups. A chapter of the international paramilitary group, the Three Percenters, which is new to Canada, has established chapters in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. Three Percenters, folks. Okay, for those of you who don't understand, the Three Percenters, that's the militia. America was set up as a constitutional republic, and militias, not a standing army, was how you defend your rights and your freedoms and liberties, right? Because the founding fathers realized that standing armies could be just oppressive to the domestic citizens as a threat to external threats, right? Or external enemies, right? So a militia is just a militia set up to defend against tyranny from within, right? So who the fuck are these people are suggesting that Three Percenters, people who are willing to defend the people's inherent rights, freedoms, and liberties against, not just external threats, but domestic threats as well. That is what a Three Percenter is. People who are willing to defend individual rights, freedom, and liberties against the horde, the collective, right? The mob. And yet, these are people who are what? Terrorists? Well, I suppose if you're part of government, which, think about it. This is a CBC article. So these people are part and parcel of government. They acknowledge and perceive themselves as such. So yes, anyone who's willing to defend the masses against big government, of course they perceive of these people as a threat. And they are a threat to the hacks at the CBC, to big government, but they're not a threat to fucking you. And that's where Canadians need to start realizing, separating themselves, that you aren't the CBC, and you aren't Justin Trudeau, and you aren't government. You're just a sovereign individual in this country, and as that, you should want your freedoms and your inherent rights and liberties respected and acknowledged, no matter what side of the political aisle or divide you come from. What it is they're scared to death. What it is, they realize that, especially people on the East Coast, in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, particularly the hunter types, right? The people who mostly comprise and live in rural communities, about a dozen of them. And I know this to be true. You could take a dozen people that I know personally. I could round up a dozen people that I know personally in my community, and could probably wipe out a large portion of the order followers in this province quite easily, quite readily, with no military training, right? And no bulletproof vests or any of that stuff, just by sheer fact that, like I say, you got to learn what it is to be people who are willing to live in the places that we live in. Harsh, difficult lives. You deal with difficult circumstances all the time. So it creates the kind of people who have, really thick skins, are really strong and really resilient. And that's really, at the end of the day, what these people are concerned about. It's not the people of NB or anywhere evil or vile or a threat to people's freedoms. No, what it is they recognize, these hacks in the media recognize that if we keep fucking with people long enough, or Canadians long enough, well, the ones that are going to start to really retaliate and challenge us on our impositions or our denial of their freedoms are the people on the East Coast in Atlantic Canada. And in that regard, I would suggest, other than some people out in Alberta, but although apparently Alberta, the people out there seem to be, they like to talk and act like they're strong and resilient, but I'm not seeing it much any of these days. I actually firmly believe that it may very well be the East Coast, Atlantic Canada, that might be that last bulwark, that last, what's the word I'm looking for? bastion of freedom, or at least people who genuinely fundamentally understand, respect, and adhere to individual rights, freedom, and liberties. And once again, I know that sounds kind of even that sounds a little bit collective in some way, but once again, you just got to think of now. I'm thinking internally about demographics, the history, the people who comprise, who still live in these. So there's a lot more to it than what I'm even offering here. But yeah, like I say. But anyways, constantly like labeling NBers or people on in Atlantic Canada is what? Just a bunch of far right extremists. Let's get. We're all deplorables, apparently, right? Yeah. How's that for a sign of unity? That makes you really want to love the folks at the CBC, doesn't it? Right? The European Finnish anti-immigration group Soldiers of Odin has set up a chapter here as well. Oh, speaking of Finnish, I just got myself in, and it should be here shortly. Because my house, you got to burn wood. A Fisker's Act, which I believe it's Finland that makes it. Great, top-notch quality product. Maybe I'll even do a little review. I don't have any page set up or channel for that stuff. Let me move on. The Ku Klux Klan. What? The Ku Klux Klan has also had a presence in New Brunswick since the 1920s and was actively attempting to recruit as recently as 2017. In Fredericton, Hoffman said, "Where? I'm only an hour outside of Fredericton. I've got lots of friends and family members and people in my own household that work in Fredericton, right? A couple people at least. And I've never heard of this shit. I've never heard any of these, like, where are these KKK, right? Oh, come on, man. Come on. Are you fucking serious? Oh, KKK is on the rise in New Brunswick, is it? Only two groups were homegrown, formed in New Brunswick and run by New Brunswickers, Hoffman said. They are the Northern Guard, with chapters in St. John, Sussex, and Moncton, and the all-female Northern Maidens in St. John. Right on. You go, girls. Nothing like any more than seeing a bunch of girls that are showing some of these leftist beta cock fucking men's what it is to have a little bit of fucking courage, right? Who joins these groups? Libertarians. No, there has been a market shift in demographics of far-right groups in recent years. Oh, really? In the past, the overwhelming trend has always been angry young white men. And it was in the 80s and 90s with the skinheads, Hoffman said. But increasingly, women are getting involved. Ooh, they're coming after you now, ladies. With the women-only group Northern Maidens active in New Brunswick. What are you going to do to the ladies? Huh? Are you scared of all these ladies that are joining these neo-Nazi groups, that you call them, right? Oh, are you scared these ladies are going to, what, gang up on you, right? Oh, my goodness. This is a set. The person, who was it that wrote this article? Let me just read that again, because I just got to point out, this is a sad human being. Ah, shit. No, I get it. CBC News posted January 10th. They don't even have a contributor's name to the article. And I can understand why that's the case. I'd be fucking embarrassed to put my name to this too. Okay. Okay, yeah. Oh, older people are also getting involved, getting their hands dirty with conspiracy theories and sharing their ideologies online on Facebook and other social media. Hoffman said so. It's women, the disenfranchised, and old people. That's the threat to your freedom today, folks. According to this Hoffman character, who's a contributor to the CBC, which once again functions under big government mandates that forced wealth and income redistribution, right? So big time into immorality, but trying to suggest that these people, the old, the frail, and women in the disenfranchised, those are the people you need to be concerned with, not people like this. Like I say, projecting. That is what the authoritarian collectivists do best these days, is project their own morality, their own failures, or I should say immorality, and their own ethical failures onto the rest of society. While violence is often a hallmark of far-right groups. Oh, really? What about the far-left groups such as Antifa? No violence there? I in particular, the first thing that comes on top of my mind is that old lady with her walker crossing the street in Toronto. I think, what was it? She was going to a Jordan Peterson speech or something or whatever, and had her old frail husband. They were both in their late 70s or 80s, and the Antifa fucks were basically blocking her and intimidating her and her husband. Like I say, people that are old, frail in their 80s, and calling them a bunch of racists or Nazis. Like, so a bunch of young people in masks that are intimidating and threatening violence towards old, frail people. It's the old, frail people. They're the Nazis, but the people in ski masks who are intimidating and bullying the old people, no, they're the good people, right? Antifa, like, oh, they're the saviors, and it's the old, frail people who are just going to listen to Jordan Peterson. No, they're the Nazis, right? Who the fuck are these people who are falling for this narrative? I wholly dumbed down. Like, I don't know how fucking dumb you got to be to keep falling for these goddamn narratives, right? The vast majority of the several hundreds of, wait a minute. While violence is often the hallmark of far-right groups, the majority of active groups in New Brunswick and Atlantic Canada are non-violent, Hoffman said. So why do you want to call them far-right if they're non-violent? Because far-right always leads to the pretense that you know how this works. You do not pay attention to the rest of your media counterparts. When you call people far-right, punch a Nazi, right? That was a thing. It was a real thing. Remember Rich Spencer and all that shit? Not that I'm a fan, but by calling people or labeling them far right, you literally give people on the other side of that political equation or divide some kind of legitimacy or excuse to punch their opponents or to use violence themselves or suppression or oppressive techniques or tactics to bully or silence or oppress their opponents. So could you stop maybe fucking labeling these people as far right if they're not using violence? At the very least, that would probably be wise. But no, once again, he's going to double down on the insanity because, well, this is what ideologues do. The vast majority of the several hundreds incidents we tracked were property crimes such as vandalism at places of work, places of worship, people's homes, harassment, and protests. What are you talking about? All you would have to do, and CBC knows this because there's usually a link somewhere. You know, I mean, come on, you folks that pay attention to my channel, there's usually a link somewhere where they're like, here's some evidence, right? No evidence. Where are we at here? Like I say, so we're right here. But no examples. I mean, right here in between. This is exactly and precisely where, if you're CBC, you would have emboldened hyperlinks in a color. Usually they use blue as the color, right? To show the difference between the black text. And it's usually bold and highlighted so you can click on it. Where are the examples of these cases, these hundreds of incidents? Hundreds, several hundreds incidents. And how many examples did they at least put in this article? Like where they show some proof? Not one, not fucking one, not one example. Does that not speak volumes to you? I know it does to me. I mean, if I had that kind of evidence to suggest or insinuate what's being said by this Hoffman character, you damn right. Well, you know me. I'd be proactive and wise enough to, you better believe it. As a matter of fact, I'd have a whole list, right? Whole list of examples. Boom, 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 boom. Look at them all, folks. Right there in your face. What do we get here? Not a thing. Cheap, bird, quiet, crickets, right? Nothing. Zilch, nada. Which should speak volumes, and it does to me. The vast majority immigrants, Aboriginal people, and people of color have been the main targets of these groups with vandalism at places of worship, work, people's homes, he said. No, I'm seeing white heterosexual males seems to be the most dominantly targeted group in society today. I mean, just go back, and I mean, I've already shared it. if you pay attention to my social media pages, I've already shared all these studies and these real world examples and proof that it's the establishment media who are constantly targeting people, individuals, and all these people and placing them in harm's way. And come on, who's out there? Where are these dominant voices who are promoting, oppressing Black people, First Nations people, right? Immigrants, people of color. Where are these groups? I don't see them. Can you point them out to me? Where are all these groups who are targeting these supposedly oppressed individuals or groups? I don't know who these people are. And you really should, if you're going to try to allude or suggest this is a reality, at least give us some semblance of evidence. At the very least, a little bit. Even one example would have been, I would say, minimally important to do so, but not even one. But the fact that the crimes were not violent doesn't mean they're any less troubling, he said. Really? So violence and nonviolence, we're supposed to perceive nonviolent and violent things as the same. Really? Oh, okay. No wonder people, like, if you listen to these fucking hacks, you're not a well-adjusted human being. And you know that. You know that. Which is why, like I say, spew the rhetoric all you want, but you the people that are falling for it, you're only harming yourself and the people around you. You're not harming me, because I don't fall for any of this shit, nor my kids. We're all doing fine. It's the people that fall for this shit, you're doing terrible. I'm trying my best to help you, but you're unwilling to. Hey, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Just like with people, you can lead them people to knowledge, but you can't make them think. Well, all right, live in your self-induced misery. Apparently, you choose to do so. That's on you. We should always be concerned when the potential for violence is on the table, and we should always stand up and confront hate. By what? Using violence beforehand to confront the hate or people that are saying things that you don't like. So we should use violence to preempt people who may possibly use violence. That's the message I'm getting. Should we paralyzed with fear? Or you mean, should we be paralyzed with fear? And once again, CBC, they feel so bad. So bad. Absolutely not. Are we on par with America? Absolutely not. Is there a problem and should we be addressing it? Absolutely. Hodman knows that leaders are making everything. The federal government has acknowledged that extremism is a growing problem, major security concern. He said that's reflected in funding and in government policy and by the messaging of actions such as putting two virulent neo-Nazi groups, Combat 18 and Blood and Honor, on the terror watch list for the first time. More can always be done, Hodman said, but it is on their radar. So once again, these are people who want to use, because government is a representation of force of violence. So these are people saying, and they're even admitted in this, right? Because they're using government as their means to an end, which once again, government is a representation of force and violence. That is what government is. So this person is suggesting that the people who aren't, and they even acknowledged and admitted to, the people who aren't using violence as their means to an end, well, no, we need to use government as a means to suppress these people. So they're not being violent, but we should bring violence as a means to suppress the people who are being nonviolent in their means to express themselves. Oh, I see I got a wicked. Oh, that's awesome. Holy shit. How do I get this on here? Fuck, I'm sorry about that, Ron, the big man. Let me get back up here. I'm trying to, there we go. Thank you very much. You're a friendly and very generous person. I hope that you're in a position that you can afford to do this, kind sir. Because like I said, I really appreciate your kindness and this generous support. And I'll definitely make that $50 work hard, man. Hardcore. I 100% assure you, at the very least, what is my hey, Ron the big man has just paid for another whole month of me live streaming. And I'm going to make sure to do as many live streams as humanly possible for the next little month, because it's what, $25 US. And I think at this point in time with the exchange, about 36, 37, 38 bucks, somewhere around that way. So basically that $50 will go straight towards paid for another full month of live streams from the Canadian Libertarians. So thank you very much. Frig, I love that. God damn it. Man, you folks really, it really does. It matters so much to me. I know this to some of you people, like, okay, man, don't be such a drama king, right? But listen, this stuff matters to me. It means a lot because I can only think, Ron the big man here, for someone to take $50, right? $50. I know it's not huge, like it's not massive, right? For wealthy people, but for those of us who are just regular everyday people, $50, you know what I mean? Think about it. You can buy yourself a fair amount of groceries with that, right? You can do a fair amount with $50. Well, I mean, less and less every year that goes by. But trust me, at the very least, I want you to know that your $50 donation, it really, really, really matters to me. And I will definitely make full use of it. And that $50 of contribution, I'll be as productive as I can and hopefully reward that and make it so that it's much more in terms of the reward that you'll get for that $50. I'm going to work my hardest to try my best, Ron. So thank you very kindly. But anyways, please keep it up. Maybe more Canadians will grow a set of balls if they start to understand what's really going on. Maybe you can take the wife out for a slice of pizza after the stream. That's awesome. Actually, yeah, that's another important thing too, Ron. Actually, yeah, keeping our family members, like I know my wife, because yeah, she puts up with me dealing with this stuff on a regular basis, and there are times where it's like, but I always work with her because like me and my wife, we've been together a long time. So I always work with her and I make sure that I'm giving her, which is why there's sometimes where I'm not available. Because there are times where I just, at night, I got to tell you, folks, there are times at night when I just cut my internet off and I spend time with my family. I have to, right? These are people in my immediate life that I have to show care and concern for. And not just have to, but I want to. Right? It's not a matter of want. But I mean, just for you people, so you understand, I don't live online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have to spend some time in my own personal life, in my own personal circumstances, situation. But I really, really do appreciate all that you folks bring, not just in your contributions, but even in all these comments, because you people help inspire me and keep me going. If I didn't have people like you out there doing what you do, I probably would have given up probably a few years ago by now, because I don't want to just, I'm what it is. I'm usually about being efficient. If I'm not being efficient, if I'm wasting my time, I don't like wasting my time, because time is a value commodity. That's the thing. Economically, socially, our time, it's valuable. Our time, we have a finite amount of time on this planet. We all know this. We only have so much time, and then it ceases to exist. And we lose out on all the other aspects of what it is to live as a human being and have that human experience. It's a finite thing. So I always constantly try to gauge how best should I spend my 24 hours in the day. And I do want to constantly keep that measured and balanced as best I can. But I got to say, all the support you folks have been giving me over the years and the increase of support that I've been seeing in recent times, it really does help embolden and inspire me to keep fighting the good fight. And once again, because I'm actually gaining contributions economically, even people in my family, my wife, people, they support me for doing this. So because they're like, well, at least not only are you doing things, but you're also not just taking away from us and giving others. It's actually benefiting us all. That's the thing. It's not a zero-sum game. It's a win-win situation, circumstance, when we're all fighting for freedom and liberty, and when we're actually supporting each other. To me, that's one thing I love about it, is it's not like you're sacrificing. You're not truly sacrificing, because at the end of the day, we all benefit from supporting each other's ability to respect sovereignty and the importance of individual liberty. Every individual on the planet benefits from people who promote and respect the sovereignty of an individual. And like I say, I really, really appreciate all you folks who help me all the time in this. And Ron, I guess say, I'm awestruck at the $50 contribution, and like I say, I'll definitely do my best to put that donation to work in a very big way. Okay, so where else we go? Because I know I get to these points and I get a little bit sidetracked here, but I think there's still lots we got to do yet. Lots to go through yet. Although I know sometimes I shouldn't go too long. Go on too long. Wait. Premier condemns protest outside Saskatchewan chief medical officer's home. That's another article at CBC that I'm just looking at. Pandemic test limits of religious freedom as churches set to fight BC COVID-19 rules in court. I think we just did that one. I'm going to deal with that one on a different one. That's a great one out of Reason Magazine. Give you a little, just a sneak peek. Well, not a sneak peek, but I'll just tell you. Glenn Greenwald, journalists are authoritarians. Yeah. Glenn Greenwald, right? A guy that would identify as a lefty, contributing to Reason Magazine, a libertarian publication. This is an area where, like I say, we can find some common ground, folks, with people on the left, people such as Glenn Greenwald. And I think if we do that, sky's the limit, folks. Sky's the limit. Oh, and the Atlantic. This is pretty cool, actually, folks. And I'll be dealing with this maybe in a subsequent video. Or actually, I might deal with it all on its own. But it's out of the Atlantic. Technology. The grim conclusions of the largest ever study of fake news. Falsehoods almost always beat out the truth on Twitter, penetrating further, faster, and deeper into the social network than accurate information. So, once again, just like I shared this early on, just like I said, no amount of suppression and denial of speech is going to prevent like fake news or people presenting conspiracy theories. That's never going to prevent. The way to combat bad information or wrong information is with good or right information, right? Not trying to suppress information, as we all know. And the Atlantic is even come out and basically suggesting the same thing, which is that, or the contributor, this particular contributor, Robinson Meyer, is basically, now this was an article that was produced back in March of 2018, but once again, really important and definitely aligned with what a lot of the stuff we're dealing with today. The Mercury rise of Klaus Schwab, stakeholder capitalism, and the WF's Davos corporate plan. That's another one I want to cover. I'll probably do that as a standalone video. Oh, listen to this one. This is an opinion piece. I'm actually looking at my desktop and my laptop. I got so many things open at once, folks. And I'm trying to cover all these things so that hopefully I can eventually close them up, place them in the link of one of my streams so that I've got them archived and backed up, but not overly burdening my laptop and my desktop. But this one is an opinion piece, like I say, out of the Financial Post opinion, and I can't share this on my screen because, like I say, it's on my laptop. Immigration may make global net zero harder. So this is as it pertains to emissions and climate change. Under current policies, by 2030, Canada's population and GHG emissions will likely be 7.5% higher. So apparently immigration is actually this mass immigration push, and we've seen that to the tune of hundreds of thousands per year in Canada, right up till, what is it, 1.2 million over the next 3 years under the Trudeau Liberal regime, is immigration, this kind of mass immigration, from third world countries to developed countries who, once again, we consume a lot of energy in these developed countries, apparently, right? Much more in developing countries. And apparently, emissions or immigration is going to lead to even higher emissions because people have the ability to use more things that are harmful to the environment. Of course, if you move to a Western developed nation that has a whole lot of other goodies or things that actually do produce emissions, of course you're going to increase emissions. I mean, does that not just make sense? So mass immigration is a detriment, and the environmentalists should start to understand that if reducing carbon emissions is your goal, right? Maybe Greta should start to learn some of these things. Oh, hold on. Okay, so there's that. Oh, making the case for mandatory. Yeah, let's find that one. Okay. So there's another thing. First they came for. If you're a healthcare worker in Canada, this is what you have to look forward to. And this is what's on offer. Wait a minute. Where did that go? January. 23rd, 2021. So that was from yesterday. Oh, I see. Yeah, there's another thing I wanted. This is crazy too, folks. Holy shit, I share a lot of stuff. There we go. My goodness, I share a lot of stuff, right? I know, folks. I know. I believe me, I know I share a lot of stuff. I have a hard time keeping on top of it all, so I understand why you folks have a difficult time doing it as well. But anyways, yeah, so here we go, folks. Making the case. This is is it an opinion piece? No, actually, it's not. Actually, it's so from Ottawa, CBC News Ottawa, making the case for mandatory vaccinations of healthcare workers. So first they came for University of Ottawa profs published paper urging government to make COVID-19 vaccine required in some sectors. This reported by Julie Arton, January 23rd, 2021. As COVID-19 vaccinations slowly roll out across Canada, some are asking whether they should be mandatory for people working in healthcare, long-term care, and retirement home settings. Professors of law and medicine at the University of Ottawa recently published an article in the Canadian Medical Association Journal advocating for the vaccine to be made mandatory for anyone in those categories. We shouldn't just leave it to individual retirement homes to make decisions about whether or not to require that their healthcare workers are vaccinated, said Colleen Flood, law professor and research chair of health and law at the University of Ottawa. Well, the problem being, of course, is always, mandatory should never be, like, forcing people to do something should never be a means to an end. But I will say, at the very least, the reason why this is even a problem, it's even an issue, is because people no longer trust, right? Trust is the major issue. And trust is the major factor in why a lot of these people in the healthcare field, and we've seen, even whether you're talking about Canada, the US, or a lot of other jurisdictions around the world, we're up to half of people who are professionals or experts in the healthcare field who are unwilling to take these vaccines or have these impositions or these mandates imposed on them as well, is because apparently whether they just care about the freedom or maybe they have a better understanding or grasp of some of these concepts than even we laymen or those in the private sector do. At the very least, it suggests that there is a substantial reason or an underlying reason as to why people in these healthcare fields aren't quite so willing to be subject to these authoritarian mandates and edicts, right? People's willingness to question these kind of top-down authoritarian measures, that's a wise and prudent thing. That's an important thing. Now, the proper methodology or a way to properly alleviate these people's concern and to get past them or beyond them is to be honest and forthright and offer them real-world evidence and conclusive proof as to why they shouldn't be concerned. No one in the media, no one in the current establishment ruling class has that on offer. So, of course, people are concerned and outraged and upset about how things are playing out. That's the problem. You're never going to get to the point where it's a one-size-fits-all approach. If you want anything remotely resembling unity or where we're all in this together, then the only way that takes place is start talking to each other. Because if you're not talking to each other, you're talking past each other, or you're nonstop insulting or deriding each other, then we're never going to get this place that these people want us to be. And we're never going to trust our opponents when they're constantly lying, misrepresenting, or deceiving us. That's just truth. That's just reality. Anyways, I don't necessarily need to keep this going on much longer. I just, they're looking to make the case now, folks, to mandate, to force you to take a vaccine. Now, as a Canadian libertarian, I will say, in particular fields, especially and in particular in the healthcare fields, you may come to a point where you may have to exit stage left. If they force this stuff on you, then, and that's the thing, I wish you had private options. I wish you had at least alternative areas in healthcare where you could pivot to, because that leaves you with nowhere to turn. And once again, this is the problem we keep running time and time again, which is the importance of why I called this stream, where to go. Where do you turn? if they're going to, eliminate you from your job, from your occupation or your position by the simple fact that you're not willing to go along to get along and you question some of this shit with real, genuine, legitimate reasons, what do you do? What do you do? Either you quit your job, your occupation, and think about the kind of people who are going to replace you instead. This is that race to the lowest common denominator. This is a race to the bottom that we keep seeing. The kind of people who are willing to go along with these top-down authoritarian mandates and these edicts are not people who are obviously critical thinkers or people who genuinely understand the importance of defending individual rights, freedom, and liberties. So once again, the good people, decade after decade after decade, the rampant rise in growth in big government and these political mandates and edicts means the good people, the people who recognize how inherently immoral and evil this stuff is, they all leave. They're not part and parcel anymore. So the people who gravitate or who fill these voids or these positions are the people who will align with that kind of top-down authoritarianism, which is why, like I say, that race to the common denominator or the bottom means we all end up being socially or economically enslaved, right? It doesn't work out good for anyone, well, except for a very, very tiny minority of the population, the ruling class. And trust me, as much as some people today like to pretend that they're aligned or part and parcel of them, no, you're not. Your authoritarian masters and leaders might suggest so that you'll align with them, but yet you're not part of their group and you never will be. It's about time you start to realize that. Lots to include in this stream. Okay, what's the next one? Oh, the mouse one. Shit, I never even got to doing the mouse experiment. I'm going to do this one, though, folks. I'll save this for a standalone video. I'm going to do this actually in a standalone video. And I'll be doing more streams because, once again, I had that nice, beautiful, generous $50 donation. So I'm guaranteed for another whole month, 100%. And once again, thank you once again. Very, very kind of you, Ron the Big Man. So, yeah, I'm good for next month, 100%. So, yeah, I'll be doing lots more live streams. And I'll cover lots more of these great topics. And I'm going to do a full-on AMA. I haven't done I'm going to do another soon. I'm going to do a full-on AMA where I'm not dealing with any particular articles or subject matter, where I'm just going to spend my whole time scrolling through all the questions that you have in the stream, in the live stream, and just deal with that. Because I think you folks have some great questions and actually help me to think about things in a manner that sometimes I don't even do as well for myself. So thanks, once again, all you folks did do it, but just give you a little heads up for this one, a little sneak peek, a little, what's that word they use? I don't know, whatever. But anyways, so this is once again, the Foundation for Economic Education. And thanks for all the great folks who contributed to that publication. I hope that someday, I haven't reached out to them as yet, but when I do, I'm hoping that they will accept that. And, I would love to be a regular contributor to the FEE. Although it does require a whole lot of typing and putting in text form. I don't know if I necessarily like that, but damn, they have some great contributors, like I say. So anyways, this is John B. Calhoun's Mouse Utopia Experiment and Reflections on the Welfare State. One of the more famous ethologists in recent decades was John B. Calhoun, best known for his mouse experiments in the 1960s. To what extent do the Mouse Utopia lessons apply to humans? And this was done on October the 11th of 2020. But yeah, it's a great article, and I'm definitely going to be interested in dealing with this because it's you'll recognize in this it's not just mice people. Humans can be experimented in such a way and act in such a manner. It was like, damn, aren't these people thinking critically? Or are they just functioning as if the biological processes are they're basically being steered in how the processes function? I don't know, once again. But anyways, thanks, like I say, for all you great folks who joined the stream. I'm going to tie this one up, and I'll see you in the next one. Yes, today's Sunday. So have a great week, and we'll see you soon. I do have some more stuff. I'll be making some announcements. I got a few other people I'm going to be interviewing too. But once again, if you're paying attention to my social media pages, you'll be able to get all that information in a quick, readily fashion. So enjoy the last little bit of the weekend you have. Spend time with the family and friends, the people that you really care about, and use that as fuel in the tank to give you a little bit more resolve to keep that fight going for a little bit longer, because, or not just a little bit longer, a whole lot longer. Because, like I say, the authoritarian collectivists, they're relentless. They're not giving up, which means we have to be just as relentless in our pursuit for liberty. Have a good one, everyone. Skinny Libertarian, and I love liberty.